Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video series, I wanted to show the routes that I use when completing Helltides in each of the 5 regions. To keep these videos short, each video will only feature one of the regions, in this case, Dry Steppes. In one of my previous videos, I showed a way on how to double your Cinders if you're playing on console, and one of the ways to make that easier for yourself is to stay in the same cluster on the map. That way your partner doesn't resurrect, immediately get slain, and then lose half of their Cinders. In order for people to benefit from that tip, all of the routes I'll be using in these videos are going to be in the same cluster. So even though this video title is 550 Cinders in under 10 minutes, if you're playing on console, congrats, it's now 1100 Cinders in under 10 minutes. So getting to the route itself, like I mentioned in this video, it's for the Dry Steppes. We want to fast travel to Girondai and then exit through the top left. As we can see, we're going to clean up this section, going through every nook and cranny, and then coming back to the event that we passed by. Obviously, if the event has already started from somebody else, just join in first before clearing out this section. Right after completing the first event, we are going to make our way to the second event. And since we're trying to gain these Cinders as quickly as possible, just because there's an event there doesn't mean that we want to complete it. There are good events that give out lots of Cinders and bad ones that take up to 2 minutes and don't give out a lot of Cinders. I think altogether there are around 20 different events, and maybe 5 of them are worth the time it takes to complete them. The first one that comes to mind is Waves of Darkness. If your character is strong enough and has a good AoE ability, you can surpass 20 waves of enemies by the end of it, which will get you well over 100 Cinders just from this event alone. Wayward Soul is another one where you have to stay in the orange circle while the spirit walks around. There's the one with the spider eggs, webbed hatchery, Insatiable Hunger where you have to prevent the monsters from getting to the elite in the middle, and the Jar of Souls. Jar of Souls being worth it if you can stand in the same area and don't complete the quest until the very last second. Most of the time, if you have another player around, they're going to be running around slaying enemies, collecting these jars well before the time finishes, so in that case it would probably be better just to skip this event. But back to the route, after completing or skipping the second event, we're going south where we hug the bottom here until we loop around, then make our way north until we can go west again. There's an event north of here, but most of the time I've noticed you have to slay all the enemies scattered in the area, and they don't give many Cinders. There's a lot of time just traveling one point to another, and it's just not worth the time investment. Once we loop around this section just south of that event I just mentioned, we should be at 550 Cinders, or at least really close. If we haven't hit 550 yet, we can keep heading northwest to this third event where there are also enemies around the center of it. If we still don't have 550 from there, we can start a second loop by moving towards the second event in the loop. Now once you hit 550, we can open both living steel chests and our work with this character is done. Now if we have a second character, we can log in with them and accumulate another 550 Cinders. If you're playing on console, one problem you might run into is how are you going to get the second character all the way across the map to the second area. And the easiest way I found for that is to have the character leave the game, either in the Helltide or in town if you want to be safe, get to the other chest with your main character, clear the area, and then have that character log back in. They should still have their remaining 275 or more Cinders and can now open that chest without worrying about dying. So that's it for this video. This is the route I've been using every time there's a Helltide in the Dry Steppes area. The map will be on my spreadsheet, which is linked in the description. You don't have to use my route specifically, but at the very least, I recommend creating or following some kind of route. That way, the more you practice that route and run it over and over, the faster you will be able to open the living steel chest. So hopefully that's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.